So this is Yelp, a very popular website in the United States. Well, it's actually, I think, worldwide, but it's very popular in the States where the website helps you find different businesses in a given city. It's mostly used for restaurants, and the big pull for the website is the ability for people to leave ratings. Now with Google reviews, I think it's not as unique as it used to be, but it is very, very visited. I think it's one of the 10 most visited websites in the United States. So I thought we should test its accessibility, because if it's so popular and a lot of people use it, it has to be accessible, right? They also have over 4,000 employees, so that means they have a lot of money. I also looked in their revenue, and they're loaded. So if their website is not accessible, they have no excuse for it. But let's test it. So I'm going to test it with my keyboard. So I'm going to be tabbing through the website, and let's see how it goes. If the website passes the keyboard test, then we're going to be testing it with a screen reader. But if it doesn't pass, I mean, there's no point, because obviously the website isn't accessible. So let's start. So I just loaded the site, and I'm going to start tabbing through it, and let's see what happens. So I assume the first element that's going to be focused is going to be the delivery link over here, because this is the first interactive element on the page. This looks like just text, and this looks like a decorative image, so I don't expect these two to be focused. So let's try doing that. Okay, so the first element that is focused is the search input, and this confuses me on many levels, because the search bar is not the first interactive element on the page. So I am not happy about that, but at the same time, you also have Google. When you go to google.com, the search is focused. But the problem is with Yelp is that the search wasn't focused when I loaded the page. So when I loaded the page, there was no focus on any element. And so when I pressed tab, I expected the first element to be focused is going to be the delivery. But I'm going to give them a pass, because the main objective of this website is to search for businesses, okay? So if I press tab again, then I expect to be brought to this element, near New York, NY. Okay, I'm brought here, and then I'm brought to the search. Okay, so the next tab I expect to be plumbers. And I'm not. So this is really, really confusing, and I really don't like that. I'm going to press Shift plus Tab to go back. So I'm on the submit button, then I'm on the city search, and then I'm on the plumbers. I'm on the actual search input. I don't like this because it is very confusing. It doesn't follow the logical focus order, and right now I'm going to say that it violates WCAG focus order. Okay, so it's a very basic WCAG rule. So if you violate that, I'm really scared to continue testing this website, because if you violate such a simple rule, that means probably the website isn't accessible. Okay, so it makes no sense that after the submit button, the next interactive element to be focused is going to be the one on the top. It just makes no sense. But okay, I'll play around. Let me press tab again. I'm on delivery, okay, pizza delivery, Chinese food delivery, and then I have focused the X button, okay. Okay, I focused the X button. That means this hello bar is collapsible. So let me try to activate it with the enter key. Okay, so it disappears. With that, it also disappeared. So okay, so it disappeared, but it also, our focus disappeared, and that's no good. Okay, the focus just disappeared, and usually when the focus disappears and you don't tell it where to go, like if you collapse a window with JavaScript, usually it focuses the body. So after it focuses the body, like it invisibly focuses the body, and then the next step is going to be the next interactive element, which isn't ideal, okay? Because different browsers have different functionality for when the focus has disappeared and you haven't explicitly told, okay, so the focus is going to go on this element. So let me press tab again, and I'm pressing tab a couple of times, and I see no element being focused. So this is really, really bad because I don't know where I am. I don't know where I'm focused. I can see that I have, see in this, I forgot what it's called, this thing on the left, see, where it says yelp.com/# header _find _form. So I'm not sure how that's called, but I can see what this says. So if I press enter, I'm going to go to the header find form. But this is not enough because the focus is not visible. I'm selecting an element that is invisible as well. So this violates WCAG focus visible because I have currently, see right now I am focusing elements that I can't see. So that's focus visible is just out of the window. So let me try focusing again. And focus visible is really bad because if you don't know what you have focused, if you're navigating the website with a keyboard, what you have focused needs to have a focus ring, or it needs to have some indication that it's visible. Even if you only change the shadow, which is not ideal and still violates the success criterion because it then relies on color contrast, it's still better than absolutely no focus ring visibility. Okay, so right now I don't like that. Yeah, so we have another WCAG success criterion being violated, and a very simple at that. I think that's level A. That's not good. So let me try tabbing. Okay, so now we have write a review, events, doc. See, these navigation items, which I assume are navigation items, it's very visible when I focus them. You can clearly see that they're being focused and I can interact with them, and I like that. And that's how it should be done with interactive elements. So I'm going to log in, sign up. Okay. I don't like this. I don't like how, see, when I focus sign up, I don't see the focus ring. I have to wait for the animation to run its course until I see that this actually is focused. So that's bad. It doesn't technically violate the success criterion, but I don't like it, and I think it will be confusing. So fix that. Something I don't like, but not necessarily a violation. And if I go down sign up, so I expect, of course, the search input to be focused, but I know that's not going to happen because the focus order in this website is like spaghetti. So, okay, so actually, yeah, Yelp, the logo, that should be focused. I guess that's okay. I mean, the logos usually lead to the homepage, so even though it doesn't look like a link, I'm going to give it a pass because it's like such a often used pattern. Okay, so now I'm at plumbers. Now, what I don't like with this is that I don't know if plumbers, restaurants, home services, delivery, black owned. I don't know if they're links or buttons. So I think the problem is with plumbers, restaurants, and delivery, because home services and black owned, they have this arrow next to them, which could indicate it is actually a drop-down button. But the plumbers, restaurants and delivery, they don't have it. They have icons next to them, but they don't have an underline, they don't have a chevron, they don't have the typical link identifiers. So I don't like that, and this is a violation of the WCAG link description in context, I think it was called. Something like that. Link in context. The WCAG, the WCAG success criterion tells you that links must be distinguishable from normal text. And right now, these text doesn't look like links to me. They just looks like normal text with some icons, okay? And that's bad because you need to know how to activate them as well. So links can be activated using the enter key, and buttons can be activated using spacebar and enter. But if I think, for example, that the link is a button and I try to activate it using spacebar, then the page is just going to scroll down. That's terrible user experience. So that's a third WCAG violation right here that I see, because these links are not distinguishable as links. And actually, we can actually select them and see if they're links. I'm going to select them and press enter. Okay, so it leads you to another page. So yes, they are links. Okay, so we have plumbers, restaurants, home services. Okay, that's really bad because I am trying to select home services, but it just jumps right to delivery. let me try to get to home services. Maybe the focus order is screwed up again, like the rest of this website, but let me try to tap and see if I can reach home services. Okay, that's really bad. So I can't reach home services and I can't reach black owned. That's really bad. So that violates two success criteria of WCAG. Focus order and the success criterion called keyboard. The keyboard success criterion says that all interactive elements and all functionality in the website, except in some really edge cases, must be operable with a keyboard. So right now I'm a keyboard user. I want to explore home services. I want to explore the drop down, but I can't because I can't select it with my keyboard. Let me try using the arrow keys. Okay, I'm pressing the arrow keys on my keyboard because sometimes the tabbing is disabled, but the arrow keys are enabled. And I don't see that happening. Okay, I'm keep pressing tab again, and I can't select home services. Really bad. Two success criterion violated here. And another thing that's not really a success criterion, but home services and black owned are supposed to be buttons, yet they don't appear as buttons. They just appear as like, I know there's like the triangle next to them, but it's not the same. Now, let's go down. Okay. SK Donuts and Croissant, photo by Kevin P. See, this is a link. It doesn't look like link. It just looks like bolded text. Again, the linking context, success criterion violated. Okay, so now we have phone repair, locksmith, gyms, massage. So these, I guess they're okay. Yes, I would say they pass. Locksmith, gyms, like they have a good outline and the message is clear that they're clickable, so I'm good with that. Okay, so now we have these links. So I say they're links because I clicked them earlier, but these look like tabs. When you have a bunch of text that looks like it's an interactive text, and you have this horizontal line, then you think those are tabs, but they're actually links. So that they again violate the success criterion for links. They're not distinguishable. I think they're tabs, they're actually links. So, okay. Let me go down. Okay, so I'm currently hot in new businesses. Let's see at hot in new businesses. So I'm at more cities, and I believe that the next interactive element is going to be broccoli bar. So if I press tab, however, my focus disappears. So again, success criterion focus visible is violated here. They love violating the success criterion on the website. So if I press it again, then I go to broccoli bar, and then it disappears again. So what I think is happening is that it's selecting the card itself, and then it selects the link inside the card, but the whole card is a link. So that is also means they're duplicate links, which isn't a WCAG violation. Duplicate links are not a WCAG violation, but it's something that is unpleasant. However, if there was a focus visible on the whole card, it would have been much easier and it wouldn't have violated an actual WCAG success criterion. So it's bad because see, I'm selecting the cottage. Now I'm going to press Shift plus Tab to go back to Saigon Bistro, and my focus disappears again, which is not good. Like let's say that a user has visual impairments and their line of sight is very narrow. So they rely on the focus ring to guide them through the page. But if the focus ring suddenly disappears, they'll get confused or say that the user is using a screen magnifier. And with screen magnifiers, you have a very tiny piece of the screen magnified. So you rely on the focus ring to guide you. And that's just bad. Okay. See more hot and new businesses. Okay, so this link is blue, which is it. The blue link is path in the right direction, I think it's called. But the problem is it violates the success criterion with color contrast. It violates the success criterion for using color, because color is the only thing that differentiates this piece of text from the other text. And if a user is colorblind, they're not going to see the difference in color. So they're still screwing up their links. This link needs to be underlined, or it needs a chevron to make it seem like it's linked. Otherwise, it violates the success criterion for links, as I said many times. So, like, I guess it's good that it's blue, but it's not fixing the problem, okay? It's like putting duct tape on your car. Like you think it's fixing the problem, but it's not, because sooner or later you do have to bring it to the mechanic. Okay, let me continue tabbing. So I'm at back me. Okay, see, the back me, I'm selecting the card. The image is a graphic link. I'm selecting it and I can see the focus ring. And then the back me, they're duplicate links. These two are duplicate links. But since I can see the outline, it makes it a much better user experience, and it actually doesn't violate any WCAG criteria. Okay, so I am tabbing through. I think this is done well. And remember, we're only testing with the keyboard. We're not testing for high contrast mode, or we're not doing contrast with the text, because the text here, like 24 places by, and you know, the color contrast is bad here, so that's another violation. Browse more collections, again, blue link, no underline, no chevron. How would I know it's a link? What if I'm colorblind? Okay, I'm going down. And we have these cards. These cards are okay, like I can focus them. I forgot to mention that the icons on the bottom, the gray icons, do not have sufficient contrast. So one problem that I see here is I can focus all the cards, however, there are a lot of them. So let's say that I'm not interested in this section. This section is called recent activity. Let's say I'm not interested in that and I want to go to the footer. Well, I have to tab through all of these interactive elements, and there are a lot, because each card has like, how many is that? 1, 2. Okay. What? No. Okay. I'm focused on this person's avatar, their name, and my focus disappears. Okay. Same violation, but let's ignore that for a minute, even though we don't have to. I mean, even though we shouldn't. If I keep scrolling, if I keep tabbing down, let's say that don't want to tap all this. So they have this. Each card has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 interactive elements I have to tap through, and there are a lot of cards. Okay, so I have to tap. This violates success criterion bypass blocks. Bypass blocks stands for, if you have a lot of repeated content, you must provide a skip link. And skip links are one of those, you know, if you open a website that is coded accessibly, not like Yelp, because obviously Yelp isn't, then you have skip to main content, or skip to the content link, where you press enter and then you skip the navigation. Now these are 99% of the time used at the top of the website, but every time you have repeated content like this one is the same content, it's just repeated. Then somewhere, usually at the beginning of the repeated content, you can have a link that says skip cards, or skip recent activity, or skip to, what is the next section here? Skip to businesses by category. So the user can just skip to it. And this skip link is usually activated with the tab key, so it doesn't have to be visible. You can have it visible as well, but it doesn't have to be. So they violate another WCAG bypass blocks. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly tap through that. Okay, let's go. Okay. Actually, I wonder if that's keyboard operable. Yeah, this looks like links. Let me... Okay, it brings you to the login screen. So let me scroll back. Okay, so now we have, scroll back. Okay, I'm at the end of this repeated content, and now I think the next thing I'm gonna focus is show more activity in New York. Okay, show more activity in New York. I'm gonna press, so this looks like a button, so I'm going to press spacebar. I don't know why I had such high hopes. It doesn't work, because I think what they're doing is they're using a link. No, yes, they're using a link as a button, which violates linking context, which violates info and relationships WCAG. It violates also WCAG name, row, and value. It violates so much WCAG success criterion. Yeah, so this looks like a button because it has the drop down arrow, so I'm pressing spacebar to activate a button as you would, but since this is not a button, it just scrolls down. So that's bad. Okay, well let's press enter and see if anything loads up. Yeah, things load up, but the problem is focus disappears again, which is no good. And so yeah, so this one, only this button, well, button in quotation marks because it's not really a button, it violates 3 success criterion. It's really bad. 3 success criteria, excuse me. So let's go down and okay, restaurants. I like this. This is good. More categories. This looks like a button, so I'm going to activate pressing spacebar. It's not a button, it's a link. So again, I got scroll down, and that's why you should designate your links as links, okay? Don't designate them as buttons. And making the links look like links, this is sort of like a WCAG, but not really. But the Y, which is the Web Accessibility Initiative, which created the WCAG, strongly advises against making the links look like buttons. It's not technically a WCAG violation, but basically the parents of the WCAG told you don't do that, okay? So even though it's not in the WCAG, you really shouldn't do that. So I'm at more categories and scroll again. My focus disappears again because why should it appear? You know, why should we care about keyboard users? And okay, so it's fine, very fine. So I'm scrolling, so I'm pressing tab and I'm pressing it. I've pressed it maybe like 8 times and I get no focus visible. Do you know what's happening? More categories actually has a drop down, I believe. Let me press enter. Yes, more categories has a drop down. However, you see when I press more categories and you have this animation. This animation is only possible if you don't use display none. But the problem is if you don't use display none and you try to hide the HTML elements using some other techniques such as translate, transform, or absolute positioning, the elements are still visible in the DOM and they're still visible in the accessibility tree, which means they're still accessible via the keyboard. And since they haven't done their job right, what I'm doing is I'm selecting these elements, okay? And that's really bad because I'm selecting them when they're not on the screen. I'm just reversing through them. So focus visible and focus order is being violated here. So yeah, okay. iPhone and Android, that's actually good. Then we have about Yelp. Okay, those links. These links violate the same success criterion about links. They're just blue, but again, colorblind users look at them. I'm not gonna figure out their links. There's no underline, no chevron. Yelp, come on. Okay, let's go to languages. Okay, let's say that I want to change the language. So that's actually good because not everybody speaks English, even if some people think everybody speaks English in this world. And actually, translating your website to multiple languages is part of accessibility. Okay, even though it's not in the WCAG, it's very, very good. It's very accessible. So let's say so my native language is Bulgarian. Let me try to see if I can switch the language to Bulgarian, or at least see if they have the Bulgarian option. So this looks like a button, so I'm gonna press spacebar. Doesn't work, of course. And so this violates a name, row value, and info and relationship success criterion. So I'm gonna press enter. Okay, so there's a drop down. Let me try to access it with the tab key. Okay, so I can access it with the tab key. That's actually good. Okay, let me try to traverse through with the arrow keys. Okay, well, there's actually a scroll bar, so I'm not sure if the arrow keys will be good to traverse with. So actually the tab might be good. Let me see if they have Bulgarian. Not very websites have Bulgarian because Bulgarian is not a very popular language. They don't. That's okay. Okay, so I'm going to try to dismiss it with escape key. Okay, so that's good. So when I dismiss it, if I dismiss it and I'm, for example, on this item and I dismiss it with the escape key, the focus doesn't return on the English button. And that's bad because you want, when you have a drop down and you close it, you want the focus to return on the trigger. So that's bad. And then we have countries, United States, I guess. Yes, that's similar. Okay. And I guess that's it. That's the end of the site. Is this site accessible? No. It has terrible link distinction. It violates multiple success criterion. And this is just with my keyboard testing. So I'm not going to test it with the screen reader because if a website fails keyboard testing, it's going to fail screen reader testing. Now, that doesn't mean when you're conducting an official accessibility audit, you must test with as many assistive technologies as possible because you want to jot down as many errors as possible so they can fix them. But I'm not doing an official accessibility audit for Yelp. I'm just testing for educational purposes. So it doesn't make sense for me to turn on my screen reader because the website already fails the accessibility test. However, if a website passes the keyboard accessibility test, it doesn't mean it's going to pass the screen reader test, because you can still screw it up with many ways. You can have bad ARIA, you can have, ARIA live all the time. It can be really bad. So remember, if this website had passed, then I would have turned on my screen reader. So yeah, Yelp has to really fix their stuff. Okay, so that's the end of the accessibility testing with the keyboard for Yelp.com. If anybody knows any website where I can find restaurants or businesses that is accessible, please let me know in the comments, because I would prefer to support and give my business to businesses who take accessibility seriously. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and keep coding accessibly.